There are 8 steps that are used to overthrow Western governments, and I'll read them off very quickly. Number 1 is healthcare. Control healthcare, you control the people. Number 2, poverty. Increase poverty as much as you can, because then you can control them and they can't fight back. Number 3 is debt. Increase the national debt, the debt of our country. Number 4, gun control. Remove the ability of people to defend themselves. And I'm cutting this very short. Welfare, take control of every aspect of their lives, food, housing, etc. Education, take control of what people read and listen to. Take control of their children and what they learn in school. Religion, remove the belief of God from the government. Class class warfare, divide the people into wealthy and poor, and you just want to stir up disconnect and discontent. And again, I know that there are 8 steps and they're very long, but again, I apologize. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. If you want to table that discussion when you have more
So,
time and let other people respond, that's fine with me.
no, that's okay. But what is it like? Can you tell me what does this list represent? You're saying there's a conspiracy to do all of this with what purpose? Like, help me understand what is this list supposed to
Yes,
represent? Yeah.
absolutely. It's decades old, decades and decades. We're talking 1940s, 1950s, 70s, etc. There
And
is a thing, it's called the 45 Communist Goals,
mhm.
and that deals with education and culture and media, et cetera, et cetera. This is a very condensed not virgin, very condensed version of it. It's not a conspiracy theory. They are very open about it. In fact, those 8 steps are attributed to Saul Alinsky, who wrote Rules of Radicals, but it's not really his writings. It's the book.
Yeah.
It's their book. Their goal is to overthrow liberty. Period. That's their goal. These are the 8 quickest and simplest steps to try and achieve that.
Yeah, I could believe all of that. With the, I need a clarification with the God part. When you say believe, remove belief in God from the government, are you talking about people in the government being not believing in God, or are you talking about passing laws based
How
on a
did
belief in
I?
God? Huh?
How did
What?
I know that would be the one thing you would say? Oh my gosh, what does that mean?
Yeah. No, because I want to see
How did
if we're
I know?
talking about, because it's obvious, because
When they
it's the least clear one. Are we talking about secularism, or are we talking requiring people not to believe in God? Because if it is requiring politicians not to believe in God, that is illiberal, right? And it's against liberty. Politicians should be able to believe in God. That is an insane requirement, right? But if we're talking about not using scripture to pass laws, that's a Western value. You know what I mean? That's a secular Western value. So which one are we talking about here?
What I'm talking about in their example, not my
Mhm.
example,
Yep.
their example is removing God from government in order to bring our morality, our beliefs in where our rights come from, etc., from the public square.
So what does that mean, removing God from the government? Does that mean that the politicians are required not to believe in God? Does that, is that what it means? What's the context? I'm trying to understand the context.
I'll read it word for word. Remove the belief of God from the government and schools. Remove the belief in God,
Okay, so
not God
that's
controlling,
against
just the
secularism.
belief.
That is that's not
I'm
secular.
okay with secularism,
So yeah, I'm
but I'm
agreeing
just
with you. I'm agreeing with you. That's a bad thing, okay? Because secularism requires you to be hands off people's beliefs. No government. So I agree with you. That's also part of too much. Like, so communism and cultural Marxism and Marxism is about giving governments too much control, to have too much control over people. It's anti-liberty, right? So the classical liberal values are about secularism, and what the woke left and communists, they take proper classical liberal values and they create something evil and something anti-liberty out of it, right? Against liberty out of it. So they basically, just like the Nazis took out ideas from science, genuine that were true, and they turned it into something evil against people. Communists and woke people are doing the same thing with the very productive, very useful classical liberal values. So classical liberal values doesn't allow the government to remove people's beliefs. The government has no right to tell people what to believe in and what not to believe in, and they should be hands off on that, right? Government, when we talk about secularism, we're only talking about religion, scripture not being used as a way to pass laws. Maybe personally, it might influence you in what you advocate for. But when you give the reasoning for laws, you have to give, because politicians are not representative of Christians or God believers. Politicians are supposed to represent all citizens, including atheists, right? So when they want to pass a law, it has to be based on arguments that all their citizens, like all the major populations in the country, could agree to, right? Even if their own personal moral philosophy has that influence on it, when it comes to convincing in the parliament or in Congress or in the Senate, you have to make secular arguments for your position, right? You know who made that point very well? I mean, Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, for example,
Yes.
he made that point very well. He said he has personally things that he wants to become law based on biblical reasons, but he believed in secularism, and he said, when I make an argument for why this should be law, I have to give secular reasons for why this should be law. So Charlie Kirk
Yes.
really understood that, right? So that is secularism. Coming out and taking God, belief in God out of politicians and out of students in school, that violates secularism, because it's giving government too much control over what we believe in.
Yes. May I respond to that very quickly, and then
Yeah, of
we'll
course,
go
of
on?
course. I love, by the way, Sherry, I love this conversation. So I don't know why you're apologizing for bringing it up. That's good.
Because you only have a little time, and I'd like to
Okay.
respect your time.
Oh, okay, go ahead. And then,
You
and
know,
after I leave, you guys could talk about this more, because this is a very interesting topic. So go on.
I think the entire reason for the left for these goals is to remove God from the public square because they want to replace God with government.
True,
That's it.
true, and that's true. That's fascism, and it's anti-nationalism. Okay, so nationalism is the idea that we revere and we the nation and the state is supposed to be there. Is the state is supposed to be a reflection of the nation and for the nation, right? Fascism is the opposite of nationalism. This is why I always think that people shouldn't call fascism ultra nationalism, because it's not ultra nationalism. It's the opposite of nationalism. Fascism is trying to replace God with the state. And instead of the state being for the nation, is for the state. And if you actually read fascist literature by their philosophers, they actually believed that religion, God, was something very important to keep society together. And without God, you need a replacement, and that replacement is the state. So fascism is the worship of the state, and everything can be sacrificed for the sake of the state. So that is a very good. By the way, Sherry, you're a Christian and I'm an atheist. And I love how we're agreeing on the meaning of secularism as an atheist and a Christian together. Isn't that beautiful?
It is beautiful. I love you. There I
Oh,
haven't met anyone, I have not met anyone at all in your world here that is atheist who is mean and cruel. But see, that's what I was already taught. I was taught that atheists just hated rules and hated Christians, and that is not true. You have created a beautiful world here, and thank you very much.
oh my God! Thank you so much for that. That was so beautiful. You made my month by saying that. Thank you. Oh my God! Thank you. Oh.
So Sketch wants to respond to this. Sketch has a response, and I don't think we can get to newer topics, but we can talk about the other topics when Armin leaves if you want.
Yes.
Yes, I was just going to encourage you again to read Rules for Radicals. It's a tactical organization manual for left wing activities, right? So you're not reading a book on on the philosophy of Marxism. It's like the art of war for Marxists, right? So you would understand when you would recognize stuff that Piers Morgan does and Nick does in his debates in this book, because it's part and parcel of a technique of infiltration, of manipulation. And that's just another reason for me to recommend it again. Maybe you could put it on audio while you're doing stuff around the house, stuff like that. I don't know how to, because I know you're out of time for so many things. You're starting a new show on Persian, or an old show, but restarting it. So I know you're out and not have a lot of time. Rules for Radical, I would put it as a must read in this fight.
I would also really quickly, I'm so sorry, Sketch, but I would just say, Armin, you don't have enough time to read it. Just do a quick bullet point on what those rules are, so you understand their tactics.
We could have
to read the whole book.
We could have a watch party and watch a video explaining the book on a live show. How about that? So I could do two things at the same time.
Ooh,
yeah. There you go. Two birds,
us
one
happy.
stone. I have a hard time saying two birds, one stone, because I feel bad for the birds in my example every time I say that. Every time I say two birds, one stone, I'm like, oh no, the poor birds in my mind. I don't know why.
What did the birds do? What did the birds do?
I know. I like, oh my God.
I have a bird sanctuary in my yard, so that's funny.
Shauna says two jihadis, one stone. I like that one better.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Jeffrey, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think Sherry meant that the Soviets and Soviet-backed leftists that were the executioner element of Soviet active measures targeted American Judeo-Christian values as kind of part of their broader campaign of socio-cultural warfare. And a particular note, if you read things like the Mitrokin archives and Soviet declassified stuff, the reason they targeted Judeo-Christian values is because it served as a guardrail against destructive socio-cultural trends Soviet active measures sought to instill and amplify. So two quick examples is destructive levels of self-excess, right, that undermine the total productive contribution of a person over the course of their life. If you're busy smoking dope and going to friggin' orgies and stuff and not studying or investing in capability, you end up becoming a burden. The other one is malignant inter and extrapersonal competition. So if you don't have one of the core elements of Judeo-Christian values is thou shalt not steal or lie, that reduces transaction costs. If you eliminate that, then what ends up happening is everybody's like, fuck everybody but me, and does whatever they got to do. So everybody now is concerned about the other guy screwing them over, and protection and costs go up. That's why they included it.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.